Hi, my name is Shelly, and welcome to the very first episode of Just a Girl and Her Healing podcast. This is such a liberating moment for me in so many ways, and I'm truly grateful in my heart that you are here. This first episode is titled Welcome to the Journey because that's exactly what this space is about. I won't be sugarcoating anything here. I'll be talking honestly about the scars of rejection, abandonment, and abuse because those are the wounds that shaped me. I'll also talk to you about the messy, beautiful process of healing. I want to show that even the deepest wounds can lead to strength and that healing is possible for all of us. This is my journey of brokenness to healing, shared one episode at a time. I've lived through so much pain and I know what it's like to carry that weight for years. But I also know what it feels like to start reclaiming your life, reclaiming your joy and your worth. I'll be sharing my truth from childhood wounds to the journey of healing I started at 41. And I want you to feel like you're right here with me. We're learning, reflecting, and releasing as we grow and heal together. Let me remind you, you are safe here. You are seen here, and this moment belongs to you. Before we begin, let's take a deep breath together to help ground ourselves in this moment. When you feel ready, let's inhale peace and exhale release. Begin when you're ready. One more time, but this time let's inhale light and exhale anything heavy we've been carrying. Begin when you're ready. Good job. So before we dive in, I just want you to know what comes next is real. It's raw. It's honest. And yes, it's me being completely vulnerable. But this is the space where we can sit together and face it all. I can't promise I won't cry, and chances are you'll hear some of the pain I'm still carrying in my voice. But you know what? That's okay. This space I've created here is for exactly that. It's for us to release the heavy things we've been carrying, let them out, and finally give ourselves the permission to feel. It's at the age of 41 I finally found the courage to start my own healing journey, to start showing up fully for myself because I couldn't keep living behind walls built by wounds I never asked for. I'm choosing the courage to just be open and real, to share my story exactly as it happened, raw and unfiltered. I'm sharing the messy parts, the painful parts, the beautiful parts. I'm sharing all of it. And hopefully in this space, you might just feel a little less alone in your own journey. Kind of like we're sitting together, sharing the heavy stuff and reminding each other that someone gets it. And understanding that this journey isn't about being perfect. It's about becoming and remembering who you are. I'm opening up not because it's easy, okay, but because I know the weight of carrying it all alone. And I pray that as you hear my truth, somewhere in these words, you'll see a reflection of your own. And maybe you'll realize you don't have to walk this road by yourself. You don't have to keep carrying it in silence. I am here. And I welcome you to walk with me, sit with me in the mess, in the healing, in the becoming. Because this space, it's not just about my story. It's about ours. It's about finding the courage to face the wounds and the grace to let love, to let trust and hope back in. And if you're here listening, it means you're ready to step into your own healing. And together, we'll take this journey one step at a time. Let me start by sharing a little about my own journey and how it began, because That's the foundation of everything I'll bring to you here in this space. Growing up in Jamaica, my journey didn't begin with complete light. It began with pain, the kind of pain that shapes you. It shaped the way I questioned my worth and forced me to build walls around my heart. These pain weren't just scars on the outside. They were the kind of invisible wounds that lived deep in your spirit. I'm talking about the deep wounds that comes with the scars of rejection, abuse, abandonment, and moments where I questioned my worth and my place in the world. As I got older, I realized that my pain was not meant to destroy me. It was a calling. It was an invitation to look deeper, to remember who I really am, and to begin healing not just for myself, but for others too. Let me be completely honest with you, okay? Healing is not a straight line. It's not always pretty. It's peeling back the layers you spent years trying to hide. Healing is uncomfortable. It's tears. Healing is silence. It's forgiveness. It's anger. Healing is release and then slowly light. This podcast is part of that light. It's me sharing my path so that maybe you'll feel less alone on yours. One of the biggest truths I've learned is this. Healing isn't about fixing what's broken. It's about remembering who you truly are. It's remembering you are not your wounds. You are not your past. You are not the lies you've been told about your worth. And what I've also learned while on this journey is healing doesn't happen overnight. It's not linear. Okay, some days you'll feel like you've made progress, and other days you'll wonder if you've taken 10 steps backwards. But remember, every part of this journey counts. Every step forward is a step. No matter how small that step is, guess what? It is still a step. Every crack lets the light in. Healing to me is truly in the process, and you have to trust it. It's in the courage to keep going no matter how hard it is. It's in the decision to choose yourself over and over again as many times as you need. It's to love yourself even when the world didn't teach you how. So if you're listening to this right now, I want you to remember this. You are not what you went through. Let me say that again. You are not what you went through, regardless of what you were told. You, my dear, you are love. You are light. You are spirit. Listen, you are whole, even in your healing. You see, I grew up carrying wounds that lived inside me long before I even had the words to name them. These wounds weren't just moments that passed. Okay, they became the lens I looked through, shaping how I showed up for myself, how I measured my worth, and how much of me I thought was lovable. You know, for the longest time, I thought something was wrong with me. I thought I wasn't worthy of love. I wasn't worthy of safety, of belonging. These wounds built walls around my trust, making me question everyone's intentions, even the people who said they cared. When it came to love, I held it like it was something fragile, something I couldn't fully rest in because part of me was always waiting for the moment it would slip through my fingers, just like everything else I had lost. You see, I remember being young and already feeling the weight of not being seen fully, not being chosen, not being enough. Those feelings clung to me like an unseen weight, literally shaping not only how I saw myself, but how I walked through the world, quietly dictating the way I trusted, the way I loved, and even the way I learned to survive. Have you ever felt that, like your childhood still shows up in how you live today? When I was younger, the sting of rejection, it wasn't something that was rare. It was constant. I felt it more times than I can count. It wasn't just the sting in the moment. It was the story I started telling myself that I wasn't wanted. It was the emptiness where my mother's arms should have been when I needed comfort. It was the silence of my father's voice when I was desperate for guidance. And that kind of silence, it screams at you. It tells you without words that you're on your own. Other times, the sting was so loud. It came through words that cut so deep, or it came in actions that made me feel like no matter what I do, I was just never enough. Maybe you know that kind of silence too, the kind that makes you ache for something you never got. But somehow you still find yourself longing for it even now. Abuse came in many forms in my childhood. Some of it was physical, some of it was verbal, some of it was emotional, some of it was sexual, and some of it was the kind of neglect that makes a child question their own worth. When you're young, you don't understand why it's happening. You don't have the words for it. You learned to survive. You learned to stay quiet, to shrink yourself, to bury your feelings so deep that one day you realize that even you can't find them. Maybe you felt that too. Maybe there were moments in your childhood where you had to shrink yourself to feel safe. If that memory comes up for you right now in this moment, I want you to know this. You are not alone. And even if no one told you back then, I want to say this to you now. You mattered then, and you matter now. And then came abandonment. You know, the kind that makes you feel like you don't belong anywhere. I remember being moved from place to place, handed off to different families and friends, always trying to figure out where I belonged, if I belonged. That kind of instability, it seeps into your bones. You know, it makes you question your worth before you even understand what worth means. Those wounds made me feel like love was something I had to earn, something I could never hold on to for long. Abandonment doesn't just leave you, it teaches you how to leave yourself. You start building walls so high that even you can't climb over them. You start second guessing love, questioning if it's real or if it's just another setup for disappointment. And that kind of wound, it lingers. Abandonment taught me not to trust too easily because people came and went, and eventually I braced myself for the leaving before it even happened. Even when love comes close, I couldn't let it in all the way because deep down, I kept waiting for it to vanish like everything else I held on to as a child. Have you ever looked back and realized you learned survival before you learned self-love? I have many times. You know, every goodbye for me left a scar, and every new beginning carried the fear that it won't last. Imagine being a child and wondering, who's going to keep me this time? Or who's going to stay? Imagine being a child asking yourself, what's so wrong with me that nobody wants to keep me? If you've ever been there asking yourself those questions, then you already know how it crushes you from the inside, how it makes you carry a heaviness no child should have ever hold on to. But here's the truth. You don't have to carry that weight alone anymore. Not now, not here. Honestly, the wounds didn't magically heal as I got older. They grew with me. They followed me into every season of my life. They were in the way I looked in the mirror and couldn't always recognize my own worth. They were in the way I mothered my children, trying to give them the love I craved, but still bleeding from my own empty places. They were in the way I trusted, half in, half out, always waiting for someone to leave. They were in the way I showed up for myself or couldn't, because sometimes the pain was louder than my own voice. But here's the thing. Acknowledging these wounds is the beginning of healing. Speaking them out loud takes away their power to silently control you. And today, by sharing this with you, I'm reclaiming that little girl inside of me, the one who deserved love, the one who deserved safety, the one who deserved to belong. And maybe that's where you are too, realizing that healing begins when you bring your truth into the light. So if you've ever been rejected, abused, or abandoned, I want you to know that you are not alone. If you've ever felt lost or broken or like you were carrying more than you can handle, you are in the right place. This is our space to breathe, to release, and to remember. Your wounds do not define you, and healing is possible. Even if it feels messy, even if it takes time, healing is possible. This is just the beginning of me peeling back the layers of my story. And I believe that in telling the truth, we give others permission to heal too. I feel that if you talk about your wounds and face your shadows, if you dare to sit in it, not run from it, not numb it, but actually sit in the fire of your pain, something begins to shift. The silence breaks. The shame loses its grip. The darkness doesn't disappear overnight, but it starts to loosen piece by piece. Because when you sit in it, you're no longer pretending that it never happened. You're saying, this is my truth. This is where it hurt. This is where I bled. And yet, I'm still here. That's where the healing begins. Not in hiding, not in pretending, but in being brave enough to stare at the places that broke you and still choosing to rise. I want to leave you with something small but powerful that you can carry with you today. If it feels comfortable, place your hand over your heart right now. Take one breath and whisper these words to yourself. I am whole. I am healing. I am becoming. And let yourself feel it, even if just for a moment. So I want you to carry that with you today. And whenever you feel heavy, place your hand over your heart again and remind yourself of your truth. Thank you so much for listening to my heart today. Thank you for holding space for me as I hold space for you. And if you're carrying your own wounds, I truly hope you find the courage to bring them into the light. I hope by me sharing my truth will give you the courage to tell yours. Because healing doesn't happen in the dark. Healing happens when you tell your truth and remember who you are. Until next time, remember, you are worthy, you are loved, and you are never alone on this journey. I'm sending nothing but love, light, and positivity your way, and I thank you so much for listening. I'll catch you on the next episode.